It's the sensational top vocalist of this generation. It's the legend. It's it's you. You watching. You are the yellow star the world is waiting for. So hurry, register now. MTN Yellow Star needs you. Sign up to audition your way to becoming the first yellow star. You stand a chance of winning 1 year recording contract, a fully furnished house with an in-house studio, a brand new car, and so much more.
Yellow, yellow star.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
So, we saw the opening in music because it was a bid. And we bidded for this in MTN and we won the bid to produce it for them. And we started working on it and then changed it, invested in it to make it look differently. But the template we have was still the same template. Remember, we are still a technology company and we're still working with young people. All right? So, when we saw this, we found that that linkage is there. All right? And when we did the production right in the middle of COVID, 2020. Most people that did reality show didn't conclude in 2020. We concluded, despite all the challenges and all that. But by the time we are done, we went bankrupt again. I will explain to that what happened in the roundtable. But each one gives you an opportunity to see what is missing, and we learn, and then we pivot. All right? But when we saw the gap in this, that's when we began to find out that there's a huge place for education in the creative industry. So by the time you start bringing in business schools or start bringing in schools that are focusing on either a movie like Berklee College of Music we worked with and the Henley Business School, we found out that education is a thing for the industry, especially if you can run it as creative entrepreneurship. And it's something we need to focus on. So those are the things we took out of this, but I wanted to play the next video to see again how it resonated with young people.
Top 6. Congratulations to you guys. The battle to become the ultimate winner. The first winner of the MTN Yellow Star is still very much alive.
When you were singing that song, it's like I felt it in my soul.
Just carry on. Just collect it.
If you want to be the yellow star, you activate that, brother.
The judges are having a hard time choosing who they think might be the winner of the MTN Yellow Star.
At this point, we don't even know who will win again.
Gather yourself so that you can be the next MTN Yellow Star.
Go ahead and shine.
Diamond
That you are.
Yellow, yellow star.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
It was a fantastic partnership with MTN. Again, we went in aggressively, did a couple of things to make it work and all that. COVID came, we faced a lot of challenges, but we pushed through, focusing on the technology that we are building. But in between, they too had some challenges. So, you know, when you're dealing with a big guy and has challenge and you have challenge, you will suffer most. So, but at this point, I can say shout out to Providence, because Providence Bank was actually the people we took money from. I know we are within the building of a bank, but I can still talk about this bank. You understand? Don't worry, we're not competing. We're just trying to show what is available for us to benefit from. All right? But again, we went bankrupt after this. And we learned all our lessons, but here is the exciting part. The technology we built for this won awards in South Africa. So People didn't know about the technology we are building because the technology was winning awards in South Africa. Nigeria wasn't even reckoning with the technology. All right? So we took it, repackaged ourselves, gathered together again, and then pivot. You see? And that's why I say transformation is critical. So when we pivoted to open concert. And that's when we did the Burna Boy concert. Please play this, and I think that will be my last video, if I remember. And then I can go straight into when you look at that clip, you'll be seeing different things depending on what you're looking for. For me, what I was looking for most was the number of phones that people were waving. If you count the number of phones there and the number of people there with those phones, it gives you a clear understanding of what our consumer-customer trajectory should be. You understand? And again, the concert has its own issues. Nigeria will still happen to you on infrastructure and all that. It's normal. Shout out to Providence Bank again. Went through a whole lot of hassles. There were supposed to be 2 concerts. But because it was Qatar 2022 World Cup, the finals of that Qatar 2022 World Cup was put on the 18th of December. So we're going to have a DaBaby concert on the 18th of December. And when the World Cup final was put on the 18th of December, you know you can't compete. Again, it goes back to the power of pop culture. Because when you get that well, you find there's a blend between music, movie, fashion, and sports. They're all together, they are one. And I'm going to get into that when we get to that. So we knew that we couldn't do that concert in Nigeria. But because he's an international artist, it was then, they don't call it Dirty December. It's now they're calling it Dirty December. But then we knew that people had come, they had to travel back. So if you can't do it on the 18th of December, we already have a Burna Boy concert slated for end of the year. So you can't have that back to back. We had no choice than to take that concert and say, okay, where else can we do this concert? And that's to be able to at least recover our money, because by this time our money is tied into a project. You pay the artist. We had $250,000 locked down with the artist. You're not going to get it back if you know artists very well. Once you book, you book. So we thought about it and said, okay, let's go to South Africa. We looked at the analytics, the metrics, where is the place that can work outside of waiting for the festivity period. We reckoned that South Africa was. We got there, it was a totally different ecosystem. We couldn't really do the concert. So again, I went bankrupt. But this time around, we saw in South Africa what we've been looking for in the last 10 years in Nigeria. It's like everything we needed to succeed in Nigeria was in South Africa, and everything they need to succeed in South Africa is in Nigeria. I'm like, what is going on here? So I practically spent going in and out the last 3 years into South Africa. Because again, their system is quite different from our system. That's for roundtable, it's not for here. Like I said, we're going to have a roundtable. This is me trying to introduce a roundtable. That's what I came for. Because this, and the roundtable is just for a select few, but it will work for everybody. That's all that. But now I can then go into my slide for this year, that is transformation. And to be honest, for you to understand transformation, both at corporate and individual level, you must suffer. But you will learn through the suffering. You know, there's somewhere they say he learned obedience. Though he was a son, he learned obedience through what he suffered. The moment you learn obedience through what you suffer and get into transformation, you're unstoppable. They've suffered, they learned. And I'm looking forward to going into a strategy session with the key organizers of iREP to look at how we can make this work in the next 15 years. Because these first 15 years, we've suffered. But what is coming on in the next 15 years, my God, they will celebrate us. And that's what I'm looking forward to. So when you understand that, then you understand, next slide, that I said that my topic that was given to me is different from the topic I'm interested in. So the topic I'm interested in is return on investment-led creative industry. I'm not here to talk distribution. Distribution is a subset of this. When we understand return on investment, and I'll go into it slightly so that you can see how it works, then you begin to understand what we have working for us and it's still there. You understand? If it wasn't there, I would have changed, honestly. If I'm still standing, I'm still here, know that the thing is still there. We're going to get there. So next slide. I was still in South Africa when they reached out to me from Bank of Industry to come into a special session. It was a roundtable to discuss some key things concerning Nigeria and the creative industry. And if you look at the issues they were looking at 3 major questions, all right? What are the biggest challenges facing traditional media in Nigeria, and how can digital transformation help ensure their sustainability? This was in 2024, by the way. What strategies or resources are needed to enhance the monetization of digital media content in Nigeria, making it profitable and globally competitive? How can distribution channels be expanded to increase the global reach of Nigerian media content, and what partnerships are critical to achieving? If you look at those questions are not how do you make a movie? They are not how do you make a music. It's strictly return on investment. How does it work? You understand? And I'm very grateful to Bank of Industry, and I'm very grateful especially to Mrs. Walker, who led this session. It was a 1-hour session, but I was quiet throughout that 1 hour. I didn't say a word. All the people there, I know them. I respect them. But I didn't say a word in that 1 hour. At the end of the 1 hour, because I joined the conference call, she closed the session and then called me and said, "GK, you didn't talk." Those who are close to me know that if I don't talk, it's because there's a reason. Because I normally talk. She said, "GK, you didn't talk." I said, "Well, I've seen your problem. There's a solution to the problem, but I don't want to discuss it openly." She was like, "Okay, so what do I want?" I said, can we schedule a separate session, and I can walk you through what I think we should be looking at? And they agreed, set up that session for me, about the day or day after. And I called in and then got involved, and then we looked at it. I was like, "This is beautiful. When are you bringing it to Nigeria?" I said, no, we're not there yet. I need a representation from the bank to come out to South Africa so that I can show them what we're doing, and I can show them the partners we're doing what we're doing. If you know how Nigeria works very well, and again, you don't blame people, that's how we do our things. A lot of our creative industry conversations happen in either hotels or bar, or, But I didn't want that. I wanted people to see the difference between us and South Africans. They have structures. You understand? There are certain conversations you can have in a bar, a restaurant in South Africa. You can start it, but if you really want to talk about it, then you need to go to where you're going to sit down, because it's a structure-driven ecosystem. So I wanted them to come out and see it. And they came out, they saw it, and I'll still get back into more details in the roundtable. Back to the slide, please. In that same 2024, I had the opportunity of meeting with Osaho Akpata and Vito Mukete. Both of them are from Canes, Afrezim Bank. We met at the Durban Film Festival. Please, press it. Yeah. We met at Durban Film Festival. And I tried to share with them what we're trying to do, and they liked it. And they raised some issues for me regarding Nigeria and South Africa and how things will work. Again, it's something I will unpack in the roundtable. But be rest assured that in the last 1 month or thereabout, a month and a half or 2 months ago, South Africa eventually got signed on with the Afrezim Bank, and they are releasing $8 billion directly to them. We'll get back into that. It's not something to deal with here, but it's just that we know that, look, there are opportunities, there are things we need to do, okay, to make it work. Around this time, they've set up the iDice committee. No, you move fast, please. Around this time, they set up the iDice committee. iDice is a powerful tool for Nigeria. And I sit on the technical committee of iDice. And I'm so happy and proud that eventually it's coming out. People are wondering, why is it taking so long? You've been hearing iDice, what's happening, what's happening? When we get into this, you understand that compliance is a major part of trade. And if you don't have the compliance capability, there are certain things you couldn't do. I have MAB in the house. MAB spent years working on AVRS to collect royalties and all that, court cases and all that and all that. So when I understand the people, that's why I'm very encouraged having you in the house. Compliance is something Nigeria is not used to. We are too informal. And when you want to do trade, especially international trade, it starts with compliance. So one of the things iDice have done, which I'm very proud of, and I'm very glad, and I told them that even in a meeting, that look, I'm happy that for once we are building capacity, not inside the ministry, we are building it inside the Bank of Industry. Because when you build the capacity inside the ministry and one government moves away, you understand, and they change the minister and they change everybody, you come back and they just scatter everybody on. They suddenly say, no, there are people from this part of the country we are not represented. We need to bring them in. Whether they know what they are doing or they don't know what they are doing, the whole thing gets bastardized and we're back to square one. We lose compliance. For once, they are putting compliance right inside Bank of Industry. And I think it's a fantastic thing. It's taking time. Now we are about to get in. Secondly, they are moving closely with venture capital firms. Because at the end of the day, those are the people we need to be talking to. You see, return on investment is not something you deal with creative people, to be honest. With due respect to creative people, I don't expect a creative person to give me a strategy for return on investment on their project. I can take your project and look at it and can tell you how it will work, but I don't expect you to come. You can come with your budget of your production. You can even come with your expected revenue from standard revenue platforms, distribution, streaming, and all that. That's not return on investment. When we sit down and look at return on investment, it changes everything. Then you understand where and how and who should be part of what you're doing even before you do it. Not after you finish doing it and you're coming back and say, how do we monetize it? And that's why I say that Afrinol is not trying to do a distribution platform because, to be honest, we don't have a problem with distribution in that sense. And I'll explain that when I get there. Next slide. So here are the problems that typically these guys, whether it's Bank of Industry, whether it's Afrezim Bank, whether it's Canes, whether it's commercial banks or investors, these 5 questions are questions that each time they pose at the creative industry, we fail. As much as I respect everybody here, if I put your project into this, you may have a reason why it's so, but it's so. And to be honest, for them, they don't have this kind of hassles when they talk to people in real estate or when they talk to people in oil and gas and all that, because there's a clear-cut return on investment strategy around it. So we have a problem. Again, These are things you're familiar with. You've seen it. So I don't even want to depress you. Please press again. Now, this is the part that's very frustrating, the commercial banks. You know, when we go to the commercial banks, people don't understand this, and I want to say it in such a way that it will kind of, it can resonate. You don't go to commercial banks. They come to you. They were designed to come to you. In fact, the litmus test of any business that's working is the presence of a commercial bank. How many of us remember Ladipo? Ladipo was a very dirty place. You understand? They didn't even have roads in Ladipo. They tried to encourage people in Ladipo to come, but these guys were moving parts in and out. They tried to encourage them to come to the bank, and they don't understand this thing. It's kind of, after a while, what did the bank do? The bank moved to Ladipo. And the bank started helping them tar the road and get Ladipo straightened out. Remember Computer Village, when Fela's shrine was on that same, and he was like, they're even smoking Igbo on the street openly. Oh, it's dangerous, it's this, it's that, it's that. But the people were there pulling in and out, cash flow. What did the bank do? The bank moved in there and joined them. Remember Akpobo? Akpobo was like that. Nobody goes to Akpobo. Yeah, it's dangerous, so if you get there around 6 o'clock, they will not be. What did the banks do? The banks moved into Akpobo. So you don't go to banks. Banks naturally come. They smell blood. Once you generate what they need, banks show up. The only time you see banks don't show up, it's if you look at us, when they classify us as a sector and not as an industry. Just like here now, I can bet you we're inside a bank building here right now. But I can pretty much bet you with everything I have that the component of the bank we're dealing with is the CSR sponsorship side of the bank and not the business unit. As a matter of this particular bank may not even have a business unit for the creative industry. Because why do you set up a unit when you don't have KPIs? A unit is not sent in a bank to decorate a banking hall. They must have KPIs, you understand? And they must return profit. So when you look at that, you find that, look, we are having issues. Cash flow, liquidity, those are things we are not even there yet. You don't solve this kind of problem. It's not a creative industry problem, and I will explain to you why when I get to where I'm going to. But when you understand the relationship between banks and Nigeria and South Africa, then you begin to understand that relationship as well. Because a lot of, like the telcos, a lot of the stuff you do, it's the connection between Nigeria and South Africa is actually like a bridge. Why we are not talking to each other, I don't know. But we are smart enough to know that that's the wrong thing, and we are changing it. So we are now inside a co-bank. All right? Do I need to talk to EcoBank in Nigeria? Nope. I can talk to NetBank in South Africa. If I show NetBank in South Africa what I'm doing is working, I don't need to talk to EcoBank in Nigeria. Because they are related. It's like Standard Bank and Stanbic IBTC. So there are things that when you understand how it works from a banking perspective, you know that, look, it's about solving the problem. So hit the next slide. I need to move fast now. So if we are able to create something that generates revenue that we can domicile in an escrow account within a bank as a safety net for your project, so that whether your project makes it or not, the bank can draw from the escrow account. So the bank is no longer focusing on your distribution or your budget table, you understand, to determine whether they want to be part of that. They are looking at the whole big picture to say, I have this thing that is driving cash flow in here. The thing is domiciled inside my system. I have the right to be able to move funds and out. Is an escrow. So whether A's project works or B's project works is immaterial to the bank because they can actually pull money from one into the other. If we can achieve that, we are good. But I'm going to go into that again. Next slide. I'm going to go into that in the round table. I don't want to waste your time here. There are things we need to do in the roundtable. And then the last one, next one, please. This is the part that I think I need you to conclude with. We have cultural heritage, we have creative expressions, we have monetization. We are used to the first two pillars. We're not used to the last pillar. The last pillar is monetization, sitting on return on investment. Honestly, that has nothing to do with creative people. Please click the next one. These are the three components that is required to make it work. Digital technology, structural finance, and trade. There is nothing in those components that requires you to sit with any creative industry person to begin to discuss with them. Because when you understand the digital technology side, you realize that you cannot build an African Netflix. You cannot build an African Spotify. You're wasting your time. It will fail. So what you simply need to do is to build something that can complement them, not something that can compete with them. That we'll do it in the roundtable. Next, I've talked about the fusion as pop culture. Please, next. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is MTN, Nigeria Financial, 2025. Revenue is 5.2 trillion naira. First thing, there was no more money. Most of this money here was made in naira. So it wasn't like they went somewhere and made dollar and brought it into Nigeria. Do you understand? Most of that money you're seeing here was made in naira. Whether MTN, the same thing with Airtel, the same thing with them. But here's the other thing that's very critical. If you go into our stock exchange and look at the market capitalization of the stock exchange, you find out that MTN and Airtel are the top. So it says here that it was primarily driven by reduction in foreign exchange. Reduction in foreign exchange is a one-off thing. It's not something that happens regularly, all right? Strategic tariff adjustments, again, one-off thing. You don't increase price of tariff. The last one, this one they did was almost 10 years before they change it, all right? So they don't change it regularly. And then the last thing is robust data revenue growth. That seems to be the thing that's happening on an annual basis, data revenue growth. If data revenue growth is happening on an annual basis, the question is, what drives data revenue? Is it your WhatsApp test? Is it the photo you're exchanging, or is it the video? Who makes the video? So we own the content, isn't it? Eh? That drives this ecosystem. But for some reason, we're not smart enough to secure 1% of that money on an annual basis. 1% of that money is 50 billion. Do you think that if I put 50 billion in Eco Bank, that will be sitting on this side of this thing? Then you know they have a private lounge for... Eh? They won't keep us here. That's what's missing. And that's what we are trying to solve. Secondly, if you look at the numbers in question, 177 million GSM artists. That's Nigeria alone. I've not even added South Africa to this. Artist subscribers. But understanding how that ecosystem works, how the bank works, what makes it work, that's what took us the last 12 years of going bankrupt 3 times to understand. Because they are not the kind of bunch you just walk in and say, okay, hey, okay, we have come. Look, this is too small. If I'm trying to aim for 1% of their business, you think they're going to waste time discussing with me. Are you getting what I'm saying? If 1% of 5.2 trillion is a big deal to us, 52 billion, do you think that you can walk into MTN and say, okay, I need us to talk because you see this for your next year, we need to help you with your 1%. It's a different conversation, but it's not a conversation for here. It's a conversation, I think, that those involved in monetization and ROI can actually collectively deal with in a way that they can understand and in a way that it will work for us, but it can be done. That's one thing I stand here to tell you. Next one. I've already talked about the relationship in Nigeria and South Africa. The truth is, the regulatory framework, institutional framework, governance structure, currency stability, they have it. If you understand that creative products are export products, then you must export it from somewhere. And wherever you're exporting it must meet compliance and must meet the ability. And that's why I say this. For a very long time, most of our fintechs were not operating as effectively in South Africa as they were operating in Nigeria. Because of these things, and I will go into it in the roundtable. But what have they done in the last 2-3 days? We have managed with this last visit of the president to UK to move the goalpost from Nigeria to UK. So they're going to establish between Nigeria and UK so that they can bypass South Africa. My friends in South Africa were calling me to say, what's going on? I said, they bypass you guys. That's how we roll. If we try to work with you, you're not getting it, we'll bypass you. And if care is not taken, we're going to bypass you on the creative industry if you don't allow us to do what we need to do together. But I think they will allow us. Next one. Next. I've talked about all this. Next. This is basically the history. I want to thank you so much. I want you to know that after 12, 13 years of trying to find out the solution, I think we finally found it. We're going to make it work this time around. I'm done.
Okay. Please, a big round of applause for Chike. Yes. Thank you. There's a reason we asked Chike to come all the way from South Africa. He had wanted to go back. We said, you have to wait. Because I think Afrinoli came almost about the same time as iREP, and we've done this before, but I'm even learning new things about what you have done. And then the surprise was when we were in South Africa, the kind of vibes that we got about what you were doing there. So the way we structured this session is we wanted contributors from 3 people, but one is online, Dr. Adeoye Bodunrin, who spoke about Futurism and Nollywood yesterday, because we thought it was another dimension to this conversation. And then we asked the chairman of AVRS, or the Visual Rights Society, to be present too, because all these things we're talking about have to do with how does the filmmaker make money. That is also part of that, which is already embedded in what you do. I know the kind of battle they have been going through, the blackmails and the rest of them. So we want him to also make a contribution. Because our worry here is, the way Nollywood has invaded YouTube. People thought, some of them say they're making billions from YouTube, but some of them are also lamenting. Because your film goes on YouTube, and then you're in trouble. So we'd like to spotlight Dr. Adeoye, if he's there. There are films screening in other halls.